Wow, man, I can't stop playing Enshrouded. It's addicting. Anyways, a new day, another guide. In Enshrouded, you'll be spending a lot of time hunting for resources to upgrade your base and character. I already shared my ultimate farming guide, which I cover essential hotspots to efficiently farm top priority items in the game. Amber and bronze though, 4am, where can I find these? I hear you, ladies and gentlemen, so welcome to the channel. In today's guide, we're gonna do exactly that. Focus on mining, from salt, copper and tin hotspots to getting your hands on bronze and even precious amber early game. Get your pickaxes ready, ladies and gentlemen, as today we're going on a mining adventure together. Let's get right to it. Before we go on our hunting trip, I definitely recommend you to prepare yourself. Make a couple decent items to start mining. In the pickaxe tab, you first want to pick up one of those scrappy ones, while once you've gotten your hands on copper, you want to upgrade to that. And after that, we can even move on to bronze. All this will be covered in the video, so you can upgrade accordingly. Before you go resource farming, be sure to pick up a couple talent points, which are going to make all this so much faster, so much more efficient. First off, we have miner. When you mine a resource, you will have 10% chance to get additional resources. Amazing if you need a lot of this, while you also want to pick up mason to deal 30% more damage against any stone objects, including the resource finds. For wood, you want to have the lumberjack to have exactly the same effect against trees. And also pretty important, the quality gear to lose durability a lot less faster. I've got another amazing durability tip for you guys in a bit. But let's first debunk a myth which I think is going to make your farming game a lot more efficient. Most of you guys are probably looking forward to mining resources in, well, the mines. This is the most obvious thing to do. We have the small flint mine right here. We have the salt mines. A little bit to the north, you can also find the mark of Sameth, where you can pick up a ton of copper. And to the east, we have another one. These are not the most efficient farming spots to get your hands on all these resources. So be sure to watch from beginning till the end, as I'm going to cover much better ones. Some of them can even be multi-farmed. Alright, so let's get upstairs, eat a couple snacks to make this a little bit easier. Let's first check out salt. The salt mines are in Enshrouded territory. Definitely not the best place to pick them up. Instead, you want to travel to your home base. The very first flame you were supposed to put in Enshrouded when starting your adventures, but this is where you can find a small watchtower northeast of it, which you want to jump to and basically start gliding. At this little watchtower, you can find a sweet treasure chest inside, but even better, if you use your pickaxe, right here, you can find a ton of salt. You want to pick up as much as possible from this. You're gonna need salt to process animal hides into dried fur to make backpack upgrades, essential for the early game. Check it out, we got our hands on some stone and dirt, but primarily the salt. Already more than 3 stacks in just a couple seconds mining. A little bit southwest of Rookmore. This is where you can use your pickaxe to mine a passage to one of my favorite spots to get your hands on Flintstone early game. So you just want to follow the road and look at that. This already brings you to a big place where you can get your hands on plenty of this. Alright, so here we are back at the base. Let's throw in all that salt to process the fur. For the people who are new to the game, make sure to pick up this small backpack. You can even make a medium one after that with linen, which I already covered in my ultimate farming guide, which you can find in the top right of the screen. Anyways, it's a very nice sunny day. Let's move on to the next materials, both clay and copper. My absolute favorite spot for clay would be right next to the Revelwood Fast Travel, the ancient spire in the northwestern part of the forest. As if you jump down and glide towards the west, well, this is where you already find a ton of clay, which is very accessible from this quick travel. After you've mined all the resource right here, you can basically jump down once again, and this is where you will find a whole lot of more clay, but also copper. This though is slightly more difficult to reach, as it's found a little bit higher up the wall, so I don't recommend you to farm copper right here. We're gonna cover an amazing spot for that in a second. Anyways, pick up a nice amount of these lumps, which we're gonna now process in the base. So after you've unlocked the carpenter, you will basically have access to the kiln. Inside it, you can throw all these lumps of clay, combine that with some wooden logs, and you will get a ton of these fired bricks. You're gonna need these for a wide range of building blocks, like the fired bricks block. I think they all look pretty cool. But especially with the clay itself, you can make one of my favorite blocks, the half-timbered block. An epic one to get your hands on, which we're going to cover in a future guide. While today, I'm also going to give you a tip for the luminescent blocks. Next up, we have copper. One of my favorite places to get your hands on this resource early would also be close to the ancient spire Revelwood, as if you fly to the west, well, this is where you will find the Mark of Samith. On your way to this place, you will already come across plenty of clay and copper combo veins, which you can find right here, right in between the Revelwood fast travel and the mine. If you follow the road to the west though, well, this is where you will find the town. Right here, you can instantly enter it with brute force, or you can enter from the side, where you can also pick up some rubble. If we look around, you can already see plenty of copper nodes on the walls, but I think one of the bigger and peaceful ones can be found a little bit to the sides of the cave, like right here, pretty big chunk sticking out of the wall. Pro tip, if you run out of a resource, it is gone. You have to wait for those respawns, while if you simply visit the crafting menu, place an altar, say right here, right behind the borders, we have this resource. So if we mine it away, see, we are just out of the territory. This will actually respawn if we restart the game or the server when playing multiplayer. So we just dug out a nice amount of resources and restarted the game, and as you can see, all the ore is back at the position, so you can basically infinitely farm this resource as much as you like. Now you're probably thinking, but what about that durability? Well, if you also have a workbench with you at all times, which you can pick up whenever you want, you can instantly repair your pickaxe and continue the farm, which I think is essential to know if you want to get the most out of your mining and farming adventures in general. Anyways, if you're done with this place, you can always extinguish the flame and place it elsewhere, as you only have a limited amount of these. Anyways, let's check back on the kilns, as we should have a nice amount of charcoal right now, which we're gonna need to process all this loot. We're gonna need the copper itself and the charcoal. Next up, as a little bonus, the Luminous Blocks, which are without doubt my absolute favorite block as of today, because they just make your base look so nice. For this one, we're gonna head out once again to the northwestern part of the world, to the ancient spire Revelwood fast travel. As this is where you will find a little cave entrance filled with azure russulas, but also spiders. This is actually an amazing multi-farm to not only get your hands on these snacks, but also a ton of copper, strings, critter parts, and most importantly, the luminous growth while you're at it. Guys, I'm gonna warn you, as there are literally dozens of spiders hidden in this cave, so don't say I didn't warn you. Trust me, the poison damage in this game is real, so you'll want to be cautious for that. It's a pretty difficult resource to mine, while you're gonna need 5 per block basically, so you're gonna need a lot of this. Anyways, back at the base, we now have a decent amount of copper, so let's move on to the next resource in line, which we're gonna need for bronze, which is the tin. In comparison with the copper, you're gonna need a whole lot more of the tin, which is also more difficult to mine. For tin, we're actually gonna travel to the Rocky Mountains, sort of desert, the next biome in the game, for which I very much recommend you to place an altar at the Pillars of Creation. As when you are at this position, it's going to be super easy to reach any corner of the world. I mean, there is so much around us. Why not have your glider at the ready, jump from serious heights to literally glide for hundreds and hundreds of meters long? We've made our way to the Mining Rift, which is the mine where you can pick up the tin. Also southeast to be found of the Imperial Gardens or Pike Fortress. This is once again one of those places which I very much recommend you to place one of those forward shrines to quickly travel to it. Nasty bugs swarm this cave system, while you also want to be careful for the shroud right here if you haven't yet strengthened your flame or upgraded the altar. I think one of the easiest ways to deal with these little creatures is to simply snipe them out of the skies with bow and arrow. Anyways, after you've done that, the mine is pretty much yours and you can gather all the tin ore you will ever need. After all that playtime, there's a reason I'm still rocking a copper axe, as the bronze pickaxe was, let's say, pretty difficult to craft because of all the tin required. So yeah, expect late night shifts, working till nighttime, let's say, as numbers like over 100 tin aren't crazy. And wow, look at that, we just reached level 21. So let's travel back to the base, repair our equipment, and check out the smelter, as right now we can browse through the recipes and go for the tin bar, for which we're gonna need wood acid, charcoal, and tin. Very important, guys, if you don't know yet how to get your hands on the wood acid, you want to change the available output at the charcoal kiln, for which you also need wood logs and dirt, just like the charcoal. But one more bar and we'll be able to process the bronze. Then we're gonna get 10, thankfully. which is finally going to be enough to make our bronze axe. Oh man, the amber. I literally searched the world for dozens of hours and wasn't able to find it after all that time. Until today. So let me quickly show you a location where you can pick it up. Ancient Spire, Revelwood, Fast Travel. You can already spot it from the skies if you have good eyes. So this is where you want to be, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to drop down right here. In the shroud, you want to keep your eyes open for special looking rocks with a cobweb kind of texture. This right here is where you will be able to pick up the amber, and these actually are a lot rarer than you think. As I already said, I only came across like 1 or 2 during my adventures, but this is basically where you want to farm the resource. If we open up the map, this is where you want to be, zoomed out exactly northeast of the Ancient Spire, Revelwood, Fast Travel. Guys, just out of curiosity, how many of you weren't able to locate the amber? How many of you struggled like literally hours finding this resource? Let us know in the comments down below, as it literally took me over 10 hours to find this resource. We can not only strengthen the flame to basically reach new higher level mists, but now we can also talk to Balthazar, our alchemist, who gives us access to a wide range of gear, including the healer and mage set, for which both you're gonna need amber. Quick little bonus tip, ladies and gentlemen. Since we are already here, I'm currently standing right in front of a little animal den, which you can find plenty of in the desert. Well, this is a place where you can also see this little twiggy texture. If you mine the twig texture, well, guess what you get? Twigs. I think this is a nice little bonus, especially if you want to gain a ton of this resource, which, well, is necessary for plenty of different crafts. So always useful to have some extra twigs, right? Especially for all that arrow crafting. Especially when you start dealing with saber-tooths in the desert, you will find plenty of these little twig spots. If you destroy those, you will also gain a nice amount of the twigs. So definitely be sure to keep your eyes open for these hotspots. This is in the far east of the world, so it's not really something you're going to instantly check out, but this is where you can also pick up sulfur, something which we're going to talk about in a future mining video. But aside from that, you can also find sand right here. And while sand might not look very interesting or special, this is actually a resource which you can process into, you guessed it, glass. So be sure to pay the desert a visit as well, as this is a simple yet interesting resource to use for building. As if you combine that with charcoal, throw it in the smelter, it will give you that sweet glass. A wondrous material, primarily interesting for the builders out there who want to focus on making a beautiful looking base. Anyways, back at the base, here we are once again with our sweet glass. If we now visit the carpenter, you can also turn glass shards into the regular glass. But now you will also have some sweet stuff unlocked, like the crystal platter, the crystal cup, jug, bowl, etc. So, ladies and gentlemen, there you have it. Everything you need to know to basically get ready for your mining adventures in Enshrouded. If you found this video helpful, it would be very much appreciated if you can leave a like and, of course, share your own farm spots in the comments down below to basically help everyone not only get their hands on things like iron and amber, but also other sweet farm locations. Ladies and gentlemen, a big thanks for watching. Be sure to subscribe if you want to stay in the loop with future videos, as a lot more Enshrouded is coming your way. Guys, I simply can't get enough of the game. I'd love to hear your thoughts about it in the comments down below as well. If you're still looking to host your own Enshrouded server, grab a nice deal, be sure to check out my link in the description to G-Portal, as I can give you a pretty nice discount during checkout. Right now though, it's 4 AM out. Have an amazing day. I'll check you in the next video or live stream. Peace.